Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the WASD and Beyond podcast. We're your hosts, Nick and Brody. This week we got Anthony Marrelli with us from the Chemicalburn team and City One Studios. We're here to talk about Chemicalburn, everything that envelops the game and the studio itself and the team behind it. But before we get to that, I want to shout out the sponsors of the show, Final Boss and Doc Longy. Doc Longy right now has the Quasimodo drop that you can get, I think, literally until the end of the night. So if you're hearing this podcast, it's too late. You can't buy it. Very good. Very good.
Very good.
Very good. The final boss, that drop was the Duke Nukem drop, and that is now done and over with. But keep your eye on the website for leftovers. Make sure you peep it because you will get it if there are leftovers. Also, please join the Spawn Camp community, is where us and all of our friends hang out. It's a great community with D&D, Warhammer, oh man, Magic the Gathering, gaming, obviously, television, movies, you name it, it's there. It's good, it's free, it's a fun time. Be there, no paywalls. No paywalls. Important. I'm seeing a lot of other places do that where they have a Discord and they're like, yeah, but it's like $5. Like, yeah, no, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
I'm good on that. Not doing that. Anyways, not throwing shade at anybody.
Yeah.
Eh,
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 maybe a little bit.
eh. Maybe a little bit.
May-
But let's get into the show. So, Anthony, could you please tell our audience exactly who you are, what you are to the project, and just a little bit about the studio and the project?
Sounds good. Yeah, my name's Anthony Marrelli. I'm the project lead for Chemicalburn. Our studio, City One Studios, is hard at work, and yeah, we've been working really hard. We have been quite a few of us working together for quite a bit. So myself, if I want to go back all the way to my earliest modding days, and dabbling in, game development in that way, the first thing was making maps for Team Fortress Classic. So way back in the day, I loved making the hunted maps. That was like my number one mode to play. I loved it so much. So I always liked making maps for that. Then kind of died out for a bit. It wasn't until the Duke Nukem Forever 2001 build leaked out, where I was like, oh my god, I gotta, you know, that's a big part of, I'm 39. I just turned 39 in December, so I was like a teenager in high school looking forward to that game, and then I was engaged to my wife when it finally came out. So it's just um, so it was just a big deal, when that leak happened and the restoration project started, and so I wanted to get involved, and helped out with that for quite a few years. About 2 years I was with that. We shipped the first slice demo that went out and such. It was fun working with like Gianni. And so many other people and the people on the team and more. So that was really fun. Moved on, worked on the Half-Life Alex no VR mod. So that's probably been the biggest um, kind of mod that I've worked on project period. We're going to hit like 100,000 downloads on ModDB soon, or like it's big. Half-Life is huge. A lot of people disregarded Half-Life Alex just because it was in VR. Like that was just a huge burden for a lot of people. For price, space, whatever. Um, and the demand was there. Even Valve, before the game, came out, was like, modders will do it.
Yeah.
So that's why we're not doing it.
Is this
And we
Bethesda?
did it. So we did it, and yeah, big huge response with that, and that's kind of where things started to brew for Chemicalburn. Um, a lot of it was, just wanting to do our own thing. Um, with the Duke project, especially, it was like making a full game. It really was, because you're doing voice acting, developing new assets, level design. Like the base was there, like, so it's nice. You're kind of starting off like with a template, but in the end, it's you're doing everything you would do for a regular game, other than starting from scratch. But most devs are using UE5 and stuff like that. Anyways, not many people are just starting from scratch. So it was just this kind of urge, like, let's make something for ourselves. Let's make our own IP. Let's start our own game. Let's, really um, let our creativity flow, right? Because in the end, you're always restricted to, to that IP, right? Whether it's Duke Nukem, Half Life, like I love those franchises so much. But you're kind of withholden into that community, into certain expectations and things like that. So it's nice to to break out, and that's the case with a lot of teams, right? Even, big teams that, they're working on the same franchise for so long, they want to work on a new IP. They want to, that's always like a big dream for a lot of devs. So, so it's amazing just to be able to do that, to create your own, IP, story, universe, characters, bring them to life, from nothing, from my idea. The name Chemical Burn came to me in a dream. It was like I woke up one day and I was like, that name, I think that name will stick. Chemical Burn. Put a little hyphen in there, like half just like, you know, and it's like, I'm like, yeah. So just like being able to just build, off of those ideas and moments where you're like, let's do this, which can be totally out of left field, but because you're starting from scratch, you're able to to bring kind of any idea to life. And and obviously we have a lot of influences, but we want to create something that's still our own. And yeah, that's been our biggest drive, is this, taking a lot that we've learned. So like modding has done a lot for us to learn, well, from so many things, whether it's like from sound effects to graphics to level design, voice acting, every little bit is there. And yeah, it's been really great to finally kind of build it all up from nothing and create a universe. And it's I guess it's really the first time a lot of us are really doing that. So it's kind of very exciting to bring a universe to life and bring it to people, because again, most of the stuff we've been doing is modding. So we're just bringing an already known universe, to people in a different way. So it's really exciting and really motivating. Like it's been a big motivating thing for everyone, bringing new ideas, to the table every day and what we can do. And it's yeah, it's been really exciting. I think that's been the biggest thing for all of us, is bringing something brand new from nothing, which is a new experience.
Yeah. What is what's the elevator pitch, the synopsis for what Chemical Burn is, as far as, what's, I mean, obviously don't give away any story because we haven't gotten to play it yet, but what's the general idea?
Yeah, so Chemical Burn, it's a first-person shooter. It's a half-like, so we are going in the direction of more of a like really immersive world, a linear story, um, fairly wide. Like we want to go with more wide open levels when it comes to approaches as to how you want to kind of go from place to place. In the Half-Life series, you only really saw that like in the vehicle sections and stuff, and we kind of want to have that everywhere. It's obviously not going to be that big, but just that ability to be like, oh, I want to go over here and explore, and then go back to the main path, or I can go into this route, which is kind of the immersive sim elements that we want to implement. So it's not really going to be like um, mix together different weapons, kind of immersive sim or things like that. It's more how the level design will play out, and allowing you different routes and ways through levels, and ways that you might figure out on your own or might be hinted at, by us. So yeah, so it takes place in Hazard City. So Hazard City, it's one of the last cities on Earth. So we're not revealing yet, what has happened. That's kind of like the mystery here, is, what's happened to Earth. Why have the populations been relocated to these final cities throughout the planet? It's not an alien invasion, so it's not like Half-Life, like the Combine have taken over, anything like that. But that will be a mystery. And Cindy is someone who's been through a lot of the different cities left on Earth. And she's who you're playing as. So Cindy and her dog Buddy will be along with you. And that's another big part, and kind of like the unique thing we want to add, to the Half-Life first-person shooter genre and game is a a dog companion. Uh, don't really see that much in many first-person shooters. I think the last one I saw it in was Arizona Sunshine 2. That was a VR game. But like I can only think of RPGs and stuff like that. So we
Yeah.
really wanted to have like a dog companion that you'll be able to command, attack enemies, gain that bond with. Um, Buddy is like one of the final, like last, like fully biological dogs as well. There's, most dogs left have been cyber enhanced, and there's just not that many dogs left, just like there's not that many humans left, right? So populations overall have dwindled, not just for humans. And yeah, so like Buddy himself is like a unique kind of breed because you're not going to see that many just normal dogs as you're exploring Hazard City. So yeah, Buddy, we're doing our best to make a very very smart dog. The big thing is we don't want the dog to cause any problems. I get shades of Daikatana again because
Oh
I'm
no.
old and I played that game at
Like,
launch.
well, John Romero's gonna make you his
It's
bitch,
over
remember?
here somewhere. Yeah. Um, and that was a big issue. Is like, your AI partners can be a pain. They can still be a pain in
Oh yeah.
2025. Half-Life solved that by like you can just kill them. Or Alex,
Yeah.
was just was really well done. And so we just want to make sure we do just as well of a job that Buddy is not gonna cause problems, get in the way, like the infamous Half-Life 2, rebels. Sorry, Dr. Freeman, and you're like stuck in the dories with them. I have no idea how
Over
that.
here, Freeman, over here.
Oh my god. In the end, yeah, they were rushed. It's just funny that like something like that got through in such a like all-time game.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but anyway, so we want to try to avoid that. We want to make sure it's just seamless. You'll be able to command him whenever you want, but he'll have his own AI and go about, his things. And yeah, and it's people love pets, people love dogs. It's a great way to
Yes.
like build a connection. We're gonna have those same connections with human characters too, both friendly and and enemies. Um, but Buddy's gonna be kind of like the main relationship you're going to have. And yeah, we're really excited. And again, that like gives us a lot of gameplay opportunities. And yeah, one thing is, yeah, we're probably gonna make you play as the dog. That's like the one thing. It's like we want a mission where you play as
That's
the
cool.
dog. So
Hell
that's
yeah.
something we have we're prototyping right now. But that's like kind of the let's do that. Like again these creative ideas. Let's play as the dog for a mission, and really think as what we can do with that, and and we're gonna make it nice and fun and violent. So.
Yeah. There you
Buddy's
go.
cute, but savage. So don't
You don't
he
see
he
that a
can get
lot.
the job done.
You don't see that at all, really. I think the last game that you really got to like be the dog or the quick companion was in Wolfenstein.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you get to ride the giant beast, and th- this is gonna be sweet. I like that idea a lot. I think
Oh
that
yeah,
adds a lot of flavor to the game as well.
yeah. And we want to make the dog vicious. I know, like in a lot of RPGs, it's like the dog. Like, is the dog doing anything? It's because like it just doesn't seem like it's really effective. Actually, it's more a companion character. It's not usually useful in like combat. So we want to make like Buddy attack, get down on those enemies, take them down, you know, tear out their jugular,
Yes.
all that great stuff.
The more violent, the better. Especially for a game like this. For me, when I watched, so when I saw you guys posting a lot of the screenshots and everything on Twitter, and then to see the trailer, I'm looking and I'm like, like yes, this is inspiration from Half Life too, but I'm seeing like free TVs. Like I'm like watching, I'm like, this reminds me like the city itself reminds me of the Half Life 2 beta. It's
Yep.
it's it's a bit more dystopian than City 17 was in Half Life 2. It's a bit more rough feeling, which is good. I think for like your game, I think for Chemical Burn, that suits it better because City 17 is obviously iconic, right?
Oh yeah.
But the Half-Life 2 beta, for me, I'm like, damn, I really wish I could have played through that though. Just one time, that version of City 17. And with Chemical Burn, I'm sitting here going, I can. When this releases, it's like it's like I can finally get that feeling with how this is shaping up to be. And Brody, you brought up when we were watching the trailer, like, got a bit of a cyberpunk feel to it too.
Yeah. Oh,
And
absolutely. Which I love personally. Cyberpunk settings are one of my favorite settings of all time. So that's what drew my attention to it when Nick started getting in contact with you guys. But yeah, the whole cyberpunk feel and kind of this, I mean, more dystopian, obviously, but not nearly as populated and dense like but it definitely has similar feels, the bright lights and the kind of industrial sort of setting while still being futuristic. Like it's a really really cool setting.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and that's you kind of hit the nail right on the head. The dark and gritty, the dark and gritty beta. Um, yeah, and like sometimes like with the footage, we're like, is it too dark when we were doing it? And we're like, whatever, it's a little too dark. And we did. It's dark and gritty. It's just like that was just a joke we were making. 'Cause, yeah, like especially in the outskirts, like when you're heading towards um Hazard City, at the start of the game and such, it is, you're really gonna feel like the decay of, outside the city. And yeah, so that's, it's really going to have a good mix of all that. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of Cyberpunk as well. So that's it's a good way to enhance and give that twist, because like that's in the conceptual phase we were like, how do we, we want to do like City 17 dystopian dark and gritty, but how do we give it that twist, right? Where it's not, because we just go in that direction, it's just gonna look like that, right? Because we're just gonna say, okay, it's gonna look Eastern European, and we're gonna, we were worried we were gonna follow too closely down that path. So, we're like, what's the good twist, to kind of add to it to give it um that difference. And yeah, and like that's where we're like, well, what about Cyberpunk? A lot of us are about 70 fans, but 20 70 fans. And yeah, and so we're like, well, let's give it that twist, that cyberpunk look, where you can like bleed in those bright accents, when you want to, and when you don't, and you can get like those, dark and gritty back alleys, with those deeper colors still at the same time. So I think we reached a pretty good balance. Art and levels, like that's like the main first thing we really focused on, because we wanted to create that world first. My cat is begging for my attention. So that was pretty much the first thing before we even had Cindy and Buddy. It was Hazard City, what it's going to look like, what it will be. That was our that was our first kind of goal of what we want to get right. And then and then be like, okay, well, now who lives here, like what's the story we're going to tell in here. And going back to like BioShock and like those, other games with those like very immersive worlds, worlds who don't forget, that just have that unique look. It always usually starts, you go back to like interviews with Ken Levine and stuff, like it always started with the idea. It wasn't the story, that you have in the end. And that's usually most of the time. So you think of like what the world is, right? What it's going to be first, and we went with that direction. We didn't want to be like, we want this type of character and a dog and this. We it was the world first, and then everything kind of fell into place with that.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, and so from like a development standpoint, like yeah, we went through levels, art, and all that first, and then we went into like creating like the FPS engine, implementing weapons, enemies, story. So that's kind of like where like like I said, like where the majority of developments went into first. Is really creating that world. We have so many settings, environments, and just like when we created them, we just kept thinking of like these cool set pieces and stories we could tell in them. Um, so we just knew we're like, there's just so much, and it's like we won't be able to do them all, but we created, this one level that we can do so many things in. And so every single one is like that, and that's kind of, that's where when you go back to like Half-Life 2, and I kind of think of like the Mario games too, where it's like every level is like something different, like
Hmm.
Astrobot recently, where, in Half-Life 2, Ravenholm, right, is like completely different than everything else. Fighting in the city with the rebels is totally different than when you then have like the super gravity gun at the end. So we really like we really want every level to have like an accented like gameplay feature that's highlighted, which may or may not like be there for the rest of the game. But it's just something that you're like, okay, like I'm gonna like this is what we're doing. This is the gameplay loop, and this is the neat feature we have, um, and that's what we want to go with. So like for one level, there's certain enemies that only Buddy can damage and attack, for example, because I won't spoil it why Cindy can't attack them. But yeah, so then like so for one level you are relying on Buddy, much more than any other level. Where again, like you'll be able to do that for every level, but given like the twist we put in that level, you're gonna rely on him much more, and then you'll really remember that level and that experience where you're like, oh yeah, to really rely on Buddy there, or I would not have survived. Um, so yeah, so like that's the aim as well. I don't know, Nintendo, they're amazing where it's like every single level, in Astrobot as well, like where you like shrink down, right? I don't know if you guys have played it, but like you
Oh
shrink
yeah,
down from one level, and it's like, and then you use it once, you're like, you make a whole game out of that.
dude. Yeah. Well, the sponge
Yeah,
level
You
in
know?
Astrobot, dude. I like being the little
Yeah,
sponge, dude. Just putting water on everything.
yeah.
I love Astrobot.
yeah.
Now we're not gonna.
That's
Sorry, go ahead.
something I've seen a lot of conversation about, especially with Astrobot recently, and harkening back to the Mario's of the diverse levels, and it keeps you engaged, keeps you interested, rather than doing the same thing just in a different setting. It's unique, and it really captures people's attention. And I know that's something that I've seen a lot of people talking about recently. So I think that's a genius idea to follow the same suit in a genre that doesn't always have that. Like there's a lot of times you're playing a Call of Duty or something, right? And it's the same thing for the most part through the entire game. So switching it up is, I mean, that's fantastic work. I'm excited to see what. I also want to see
Yeah.
why Buddy can hurt him and why why Cindy can't. So you've piqued my interest.
Yeah, yeah, and that's our aim. We really want to make every level memorable for like a specific gameplay type and really push, what we can do. And we're gonna go into some like, Duke Nukem is a big inspiration, so like from the one-liners to kind of the attitude and some humor too, we're going to have, and humor more so in like the scenarios will kind of put you in. Um, because yeah, like we have thought about, and this is again like inspired from like the 2001 leak, is like that, those levels where you're shrunk down and going into a computer.
Yeah.
So we're like, so we're like thinking about not doing that specific thing, but like thinking of again, like we've talked about with Buddy, or the level you'll play as Buddy, and like other different type of gameplay surprises we'll have level to level to really make things um, you know, variety is the spice of life. You're gonna have all those weapons, you're gonna have Buddy, but we want to really make these neat gameplay scenarios and set pieces that, again, it'll be a little different for a short while, and that's it. Just like being shrunk down in Astrobot. But again, it's like that's why it like sticks with you so much. And that's why like in Call of Duty where it's like, oh, there's that one level where you do this cool thing, right? It's like, all gillied up, right? It's like
Yep.
different from the rest of the game. So it's super memorable. And that's what we want to do. We want to have like each mission, each level have that kind of memorable part. So it's, you're in Hazard City, the gameplay structure is the same, but depending on where you are in Hazard City, the enemies, the scenarios, how you're actually going to use those tools will be different. And that's what we're most excited about, and how we can really push the creativity of what we're creating.
Sounds like the gameplay loop plus environmental storytelling and fluidity the of all that mixing and the difference of each, like how you're talking about, like every level is going to be different, but with fluidity involved with the storytelling, environmental storytelling, gameplay, the loop itself, and adding all these other elements. I think this it's like the perfect storm of a game that's being made right now. Because like a lot of you do have your astrobots, you have a lot of like obviously Half Life 2 and Half Life itself. Like you have a lot of these games, then you have a lot like Brody mentioned where it's like Call of Duty. It's same mission, same mission, same mission, same mission, and to your point, ghillie suit. You're all gillied up. You're taking that one shot, or it's no Russian, right? And that's what everyone's going to talk about. But for this game, for Chemical Burn, it's like, okay, but in that last level, did you see what I did there with Bud? Those are the moments that I'm most excited for, where it's these different moments in each level I can always harken back to. Because in Half Life, I can always talk about Nova Prospect. I can always be like, yeah, that level pissed me off to no end. And I'll always
The
remember my
beach,
first time.
the beach,
Oh my God, I will always remember that
right?
though. But like, that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking for in a game, and that's what Chemical Burn sounds like to me. Gonna give me those moments again. It's gonna again, fluidity is very important in a game, especially like this, where you're like, we want to create these moments, but we want to create these gameplay loops, play ideas. Especially with Buddy, like I've like again, Wolfenstein was the last time I played as a dog, and for it to be in this a game like this, I'm excited for that. That gets me excited to see that you and the team are really like brainstorming on, okay, but what if we did this? What if we did that? Um, I guess I should ask, how far in development are you guys with Chemical Burn?
So like going back to like I was talking about, so level design, art, modeling, are probably about 75% there. Usually it's about the enemies and weapons and stuff that we're finalizing now. Um, it's mostly the like it's mostly like the programming, like getting into programming, fine tuning these set pieces, getting the gameplay really, you know, you get something working, but testing, you notice things. Like with Buddy, it's like, oh, he's turning in this really weird angle. Like he's turning, but it's really weird angle. uh, because you notice. So like the more you play, you notice those weird things and behaviors, um, and trying to make it as natural as possible. And yeah, so and how do you change that? Most of it just comes down to programming. A lot of the animation, things like that, but a lot of it comes down to adjusting those raw numbers and code. So yeah, so it's really the nitty gritty of gameplay now. Coding, gameplay, putting those set pieces into the levels. Because right now, like we have our 12 levels. They're all set out. They're not 100% done. Um, but like we have our plan, we have our journey, and like we made like a little kind of map again, just like Valve did, for Gordon's travels. Where is he going? Because like there's the old beta one, right, where it's like going here and then to the Kraken base, right, and
Yeah.
this and that, the whole total different one. But then there was the other one, just through City 17 and in and out. So we did the same thing. Where's Cindy starting, where's she going, where will she go here, there, throughout the story. That's all laid out. So now it's just, getting the enemies all lined up and fine tuned. The weapons, buddy, and getting, the game. Like we've got all of our set pieces that we know we want to do, and we have at least one, like we talked about, like unique gameplay feature for each level. Sometimes two. Like for the mission where like you'll play as Buddy, there'll be two. Like I won't reveal the other one, but like you'll play as Buddy and there'll be something else you'll do there. Yeah, so like you will have that. So it's really just implementing it, testing it, fine tuning the weirdness. Where it's like it worked, but it looked weird, and like it's hard to describe, and that's where you have to like get into a call, or
Yeah.
make sure you do a video clip and be like this, and then it's like, oh, I see. And then sometimes and then there's the opposite too, where you're like, oh, Buddy was able to, just naturally manage going over those things. Yeah. Oh, okay, awesome. And you're, okay, we did a good job. Um, yeah. So it's really. getting that through. The hope is, by end of 2026 we'll ship. Um, yeah, that's the hope right now. The hope is we're looking at fall 2026. Um, Probably do a demo. There is no FPS Fest for Steam this year, so we'll probably do like a demo by the end of this year. And then another like updated one with like a final release date with I hope they do an FPS fest like for the next year. I think they do them every 2 years because they did one last year. They're not doing one this year because they just released like the whole list the other day. And then the hope, yeah, they'll do one next year. Otherwise, we'll just do it with a Steam Next Fest. I'm like really conflicted on whether or not we should put our demo with Steam Next Fest because you hear both sides
Yeah.
of the stories where it's like Steam Next Fest blew us up, oh my god, or it's like no one played it, we were drowned out, and
Oh,
we had to like relaunch, right? Because that's that's or in between, which is fine. I'll take in between.
yeah.
Definitely don't
Yeah.
want be
Absolutely.
drowned out. So it's tough. Steam is great, but it's very easy to get lost in the weeds. Um, so we want to we're doing our best. We're trying to create a creative and different game, and like I'm pretty in the FPS community and retro community and stuff like that, and there's not that many half likes. No one is really making any half likes. You have boomer shooters. Well, like, and I'm not like trying to throw shade or disparage any of these. They're just obviously different types of games, right?
Yes.
You have boomer shooters. You've got roguelite shooters. A recent one I really liked was Sulfur. That was a really fun one I liked.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have like your arena like shooters where it's like where they kind of mix it, where it's like they mix the boomer shooter and the like roguelite into it. And then I guess like lately we've got like what are the two newest ones? We've got the Mullet Mad Jack like I just want to call it.
Yeah.
We had because then we had Angerfoot come, and then we had
Angerfoot was
Cruel
great.
come out recently. Yeah, so like that's a new genre that's kind of spawning within the FPS community. And then what was the other one I was thinking of? Can't remember.
Celico?
Celico was great.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
so like half like I looked because at the start we looked at market research, right? I don't want to from just making sure the name's not taken to the character names. We just want to make sure we want to create something original, and at the same time it's like, oh, it's already out there. um, so we want to make sure, but yeah, like there's the only half likes like there's Adaka. I don't know if I'm saying that right, or Adaka,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a really good half like, but it's got that like low poly, almost
Oh,
Minecraft kind of look to it.
okay. Yep.
So like I enjoyed it, but I was always like, not a fan of this look.
Yeah.
It just it doesn't. It's hard for me to get immersed, right? Like that's the thing where it's like, it's you're trying to get immersed into like this half like world, which like it was a very good game, very good story and stuff. But at the same time, I'm just like I can't take the low poly feeling, so I can't fully immerse myself. And that's just me, right? Like I'm sure people were able to get immersed in the world and such much more than I was able to. But for me, I was like, ugh. Um, and then again, I'm like, well, what other half likes? And like I really couldn't find any.
I can't think
There's
of any.
Kavark. Kavark is another one, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
that one's it's tough. It's more in the boomer shooter. It's like a game that would have come out like just before Half-Life. Like it's like in
Yeah.
between.
Yeah. There's
And
so many people
again, it's
listening right now shaking their Arthur hands at us going, Boomer Shooter, Half-Life, Half-Like, make up your minds. And it's like, it's hard because of all the different, it's how you define the genre at this point for Boomer Shooter, Half-Like, arena, shooter. It's
yeah,
like, it's,
It
it's, it's
almost
just
falls
too
into that
much.
like RPG type category, right? Where
Oh,
RPG can be almost anything you want it to be
yeah,
at a certain
exactly.
point, right? And but it is crazy that you bring that up because like when you truly think about what Half-Life is and what it did for I mean the genre and the gaming community as a whole, it's crazy that you don't see more games trying to do that. Like it's like oh yeah, well, we can't do it better than Half-Life, so it's like I'm not even gonna try. And I think it's such a untapped market, and there's a ton of fans of Half-Life. Like everyone knows of Half-Life, and it's yeah, right. But it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's such a good genre to tap into, and I think there's such want and desire for games of that scope and of that kind of mindset. But for whatever reason, people don't seem to do it. They just seem to just go, oh, I'll make a boomer shooter. It's like, well, I mean, that's cool, and I enjoy those as well. But it sounds like you guys are much more trying to tap into that market, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, yeah, like looking at it, just like I said, we just really couldn't find, you know, again, even like graphically on par with Half-Life 2, from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because again, like Adaka, Kavark, like they're low poly, so it's like I couldn't really find a Half-Life that's coming, and again, this was before we even started, conceptualizing and stuff. So then and now, which is like almost probably about a year and a half, right? Like there still isn't. I still, I'm like, okay, well, you know, um, it, I can't think of it. Like I look at my wish list on Steam, and I'm like, okay, FPS, games, and I'm like, there's not many like linear, story-driven, immersive world Half-Life games, and yeah, and we basically the Duke Nukem boomer shooter influence is the attitude, the setting, and um, and the gunplay because Half-Life 2 gunplay is great, but it's definitely probably like one of the weaker aspects of the game,
Yeah.
and we want to really have like really really punchy combat. So like we're still getting the weapons, finely tuned and stuff. We only have like I think we have three enemy no one two five enemies so far. Yeah, five enemies so far that like we've been able to shoot and test, on them because it's everything. It's from how the weapon feels, how the weapon feels, you know, shooting the actual enemy, how the enemy reacts. Because like right now, no, we wouldn't be anywhere close to how it's going to feel. Every day we're changing it. Sometimes we're scrapping it completely, and it's like, okay, let's just redo it. Um, some enemies, if we have to scrap, they don't work out. Lots of stuff ends up on the cutting room floor. But yeah, it's just something that we really, really want to make happen. We're loving working with Sarah. So Sarah Nightingale is our voice actor for Cindy. They're absolutely amazing. Uh, it's their first like lead role in a game, so we're super excited to give them,
That's awesome.
that first lead. Yeah. So they're very, very excited. It's been really great working with them. We're gonna get them working, even more. And that's another big part. Like it's going to be voice acted. That's a bullet point I put on there too. On the as advertising the game and stuff. Because again, that is kind of the difference with like a boomer shooter. That's why Duke was like such a big deal. It's like
Yes.
your character talks, and so it's like that. That's why we want to have that in there too. And yeah, we're really really excited to kind of bring something we feel is not out there, and that excites us because it's like we can say that, and tell me. I would love to know if there's other Half-Lives that are being made. We want to help promote them too. We would love to see them, build up. Just like we have, so many boomer shooters. We got a little more of the Mullet Mad Jack likes come in. Whether it's arenas or roguelites, right? There's so many of each. You have more than your fill. If you just want to be like, I want to play, roguelite indie FPS games. You go to Steam and get, five of them and,
Yeah.
have a blast, for a week or two, right? If you're like, okay, I want to go to Steam and, I want to buy a bunch of Half-Life, you know, indie Half-Lives, that recently came out. Yeah, Kavark, I guess, would be the only one because that's a recent, most recent one because they
Yeah.
just hit 1.0 a few months ago. So yeah, so it's, we want to do that because we see, we love the series. We love Half-Life. We love Half-Life. We love Duke Nukem. We love these games. And we know a lot of other people do. So we want to, bring a game like that out there. I guess New Blood with Fallen Aces, that'd probably be
Yeah.
Yep.
not quite a Half-Life, but it is like a nice linear, story-driven, voice-acted um, experience. So I would say that's probably, yeah, that's
It's got that
one of the few.
attitude to it. That's Fallen Aces is it gets me a lot of not nostalgia because it's so new, but then I look at how the game runs, I look at the game itself, and I'm like, man, this just feels like the good days. And I hate talking
Mm-hmm.
like that. I really fucking hate talking like that. This feels like the good old days. It's like I'm only 33 for one. Two, there's great games coming out right now, such as Chemical Burn, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's funny that not funny. It's awesome that you brought up Steam because right before we started the show, the page launched on Steam.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was funny. We were talking in chat, just like, hey, we're getting the trailer up,
Yeah,
we're finishing up, we're doing this. And then I was so enveloped in finishing up the trailer and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I haven't checked the Steam partner site since, I was trying to get this done, a few hours. And I'm like, okay, let's see. And it was there. It was live. I added the trailer, tidied up a few things, and it's up. So like, yeah, it worked out perfectly. We got the Discord live today.
yep,
We got the first teaser trailer out. We got the Steam page up. And honestly, like, it's thanks to you guys. Because that was a real big motivating thing. When I told the team, hey, we're gonna be doing a podcast. We're gonna try to do this stuff. And in all honesty, we are further than I thought, because I remember having first chats with you. I'm like, yeah, we'll maybe have some footage. It'll be like some like environmental shots. Because again, like we've had really been focusing on the level design and stuff more than anything. But like we've made huge progress with Buddy, with the weapons, with the enemies, and yeah, like this has been a huge, huge motivating thing. Um, like do that. It's like, well, let's do it. Let's get not just a trailer. Let's get the Steam page up. Let's open up the Discord community. This is a perfect opportunity to do this stuff. It's a great, motivator for everyone. And they were, we were showing them different revisions of the trailer. They're getting feedback, and just that was, getting really, getting them all hyped up. And yeah, an amazing team. We've got I'll shout out so Odyssey. Odyssey helps with the trailer. That's a big thing. Something he's our main programmer. He's been working um, on Buddy, on the weapons, enemies, a lot of other stuff. Um, Azmain Mohammed, he's been behind the scenes doing a lot of the work on weapons and stuff too. We've got KZ and Jawa. They've been doing work on animations, lots of work on animations. Buddy has so many animations. We don't have them all in there yet.
I can
We
imagine.
went all out. We went all out to make sure that he's able to do everything. And Buddy is based off of my dog Killy, and that was again, another fun way to be creative and and express yourself. Um, yeah, so they've all done amazing work. I want to shout them all out. They've been working really hard. Uh, Shout out Sarah. I'm probably forgetting other folks. But yeah, we're not a huge team, but we've had quite a few people who have been onboarded just in the past month. Kind of like a New Year's resolution to myself. I'm like, okay, I need to assemble more of a team because I had a small team, mostly myself and the people from the Half-Life Alyx No VR
Yeah.
mod. So KZ and Odyssey from the mod are on the City One Studios team now too. So like it was just kind of just kind of doing stuff and this and that and whatever. Um, and then it was let's start building out the team. And it was my New Year's resolution to be like, okay, let's get the game out there. My first thing was just doing the Twitter page. I'm like, I'm finally gonna make a Twitter page, put the game out there, post some art, screenshots, music, because that's the main things we had, and just get it out there. And that was enough, you know what I mean? Because then you saw it
Yep.
and you contacted us to do the thing, and then that motivated us, and then we got all this stuff done, and it's been snowballing, and we're in a really, really good momentum here. The team is just great. Everyone is fantastic to work with. And yeah, it's great. So it's just great to see the synergy, with the community, with the content creators like yourselves, with other game developers, because I've been posting, in different places, where it's in the more like self promotion, promote your game, where it's like, oh, I'm getting to learn, and get to know some other devs and their games and stuff. So it's yeah, being more attuned to that because before I'm just kind of looking at it like, oh, what can I play? What can I play? Now it's more like, what are they making? What are they making?
There
So
you
it's
go.
like a different kind of perspective where it's like I may not play it because I don't have the time, like I'll help promote it. I'll just touch base with them, and if I do test it, play it, give them some feedback, and vice versa. And when you see that reciprocal, kind of relationship, with those devs, you follow them and they follow you, and it feels nice, and it's and then it's great when you're like, oh, I just updated my demo, my updated demo's out, or my Steam page went up, and this and that, and it's just really, really great to see that. And whether everyone's gonna succeed to different um ends, and for us, like whatever happens happens with Chemical Burn. If it crashes and burns, it's gonna come out. But if it doesn't do well, sales, whatever, whatever. We've learned a lot. That's not our goal, is not to be the next big first person shooter that's gonna sell and gonna be amazing. Like, it's gonna be amazing. But our focus is creativity. We're an indie team. Everything we're paying is out of pocket. You know what I mean? Like we don't have a publisher. We're not, everything we're doing is what we want to do. There's no control over what we're doing, uh, and uh, and that gives us the most creativity, right? Because like I said earlier, even the biggest devs out there dream to be able to do a new IP. Like I think of like not Naughty Dog. I think it was Insomniac. I love Insomniac, but when was the last time they made a new IP? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a long time.
PS3?
Infamous? Yeah,
PS3?
I mean, I mean,
Yeah, like it's been too long. So it's like the most like successful devs, that get to make the Spider-Man games.
yeah.
Right? Like they don't get to make their own IPs, right? Which like again, it's amazing to make, Marvel games and, whatever games, for these huge franchises and stuff, but when you then get stuck doing it, like I think of Monolith, rest in
Oh,
peace,
yeah.
Monolith of old, right? Like the Mordor games were great, but they're licensed IPs. They're working on Wonder Woman, it's a licensed IP. Um, I didn't know that they were trying to make this innovative, like almost like what Judas is supposed to be,
Yeah.
this like first person dynamic story before the Mordor games, and then when it got shot down, a lot of those guys left and made their own studio. So I didn't know that. So like they were trying to
Yeah.
make one last FPS, which like when I hear that, shades of the Nemesis system, like that's probably where
Oh,
that
I love the
idea came
Nemesis.
from.
I do love the It's such a good system. Gaming is such a good.
Yeah, like it's such a shame. So it's yeah, it would be great to see, Monolith do something great again. But again, like they've been making licensed IPs for a long time. They haven't made a first person shooter in a long time. So, I think about these, great devs and, it's like, oh, maybe one day they'll do something again. But
Well, the cool
it's
thing with you guys, though, that you guys are creating your own world. You guys are creating your own
exactly.
characters within this world to share with people like us. I was on, pardon, when I was on Twitter and I just saw the logo, and then I saw Duke Nukem Half Life, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm messaging them right now." And like I
That's Nick's love language right there. Duke Nukem Half Life. He's in
and I
100%.
and I messaged you guys, and you're like, "Yeah, let's do it in a couple months or a month or so." And here we are. And for us, seeing something like Chemical Burn release or being worked on to be go gold one day is fantastic because a lot of people try to recreate things instead of putting their own passions into the game, putting their own passions into their projects, right? So to see you guys putting all this passion into the project, this love, and yes, you're taking from certain aspects, but you're also doing your own thing here, and you're trying to create your own world, and you are creating your own world. Hazard City looks fucking awesome, frankly. From what I've seen so far, it looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Um, and I'm just excited to see more Chemical Burn. I cannot wait to see more of this game. I can't wait to see and hear more of the VA. Brody and I actually had a joke earlier. I was like, "Hey, we'll do our radio pitch here. You need two schlubs on the radio scattered around Hazard City. Let us know. We'll do some VA. We'll
That is not a bad idea. I'm thinking of, like Art Bell and Prey.
yeah, just two
Yeah.
podcasters
Yeah.
bickering. We gotta go. No,
Yeah.
that's a
Hey,
run.
not a bad idea.
Well, let us know.
For listen to like a local station, knowing what's going on in Hazard City and stuff like that, and maybe even, that's actually not a bad idea. Commenting on, you know, the shit you caused, the previous
In the
levels.
previous, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, this part of the, and that's actually something, yeah, that they did in Fallen Aces. So in Fallen Aces,
Yep.
if you listen to the radio, oh, I think we're onto something here, gentlemen.
Hey, what are the two Muppets names that we love? Oh my God, the two old
Oh
ones.
yeah,
Two old guys.
Walter and Waldorf or something.
Statler and Waldorf.
Walter
Yeah.
Statler. Yeah, there we
Statler,
go.
Statler and Waldorf.
go for a Statler and
That's
Waldorf type of thing.
that's perfect. We'll fit the role just
We
fine.
argue just like them. No,
Perfect.
she's got to go up the ramp, not across the ramp. Shit like that. No, I love projects like this. I love games like this. I love studios and teams like this because it's intimate. And
Yeah.
for you to be able to shout out your team on the show, it's like it's a small team, and that's what I think is it's that's why something like this does work. It's because all the love, the passion from that team goes into it. It's nothing's being oversighted, right? Like, yeah, there's like some self governing, I'm sure, right? Like, hey, like this has to get removed. This shouldn't be in here, but it's not like this isn't gonna make money, so take it out. And that's the difference with a
Exactly.
project like Chemical Burn. It's like, well, let's fucking try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's
Yep.
important to me. It's things like this, and I love meeting and making friends. That's what this is for Brody and I. This is just us making friends.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
Yeah.
that's what this community is. Gaming now should be
Absolutely.
about just making friends. I mean, that's like the old LAN parties from the '90s and early 2000s. Making friends. Counter Strike is a different story. If we're playing Counter Strikes, we're not friends. Counter Strike, Counter Strikes. Really let my Romanian slip there. We're playing Counter Strikes. Um, but no, man, I'm excited for Chemical Burn. Brody, is there anything else you wanted to ask Anthony about Chemical Burn? Um, and if not, then we'll let you run with the rest of the show, Anthony. But yeah,
I
Brody.
I think you've answered most of the questions that I typically try to ask devs. I mean, I'm in the same vein as Nick. When we were talking prior to adding Nick into our conversation, I was telling you the thing we love most about doing this is linking up with people that are passionate about what they're working on, and it. We've been very blessed to work with a lot of people that are very passionate, and those are the projects that we try to shout from the rooftops, right? Like everybody needs to hear about this, whether you care about it or not. You're gonna hear about it,
Yeah.
uh, and and so that's what we love, right? And linking up with you guys, especially early on, like in your PR push here, and trying to get the game out there. The happenstance that Nick is a huge Half-Life fan and huge Duke Nukem fan, and you guys came up right away on his Twitter page.
First
Like,
off, creepy. Thank you. I hate the
yeah, yeah.
algorithm.
We're a brand new account too.
Yeah, he was really targeted here. But it's awesome, right? Like to be able to be a part of this journey with you guys in our own way, and I mean, we always love to sing your guys' praises, and anything we can ever do to help out, we're more than happy to. We will be right alongside you guys this whole journey. I'm really excited. I mean, you sent me seeing how excited you are about it too. Like the other day when you had like 48 different pictures that you dropped and like videos and all of this stuff, and I was excited, right? Like I was excited to see all this stuff come through, and it's just really really cool to see how passionate you guys are about this and having that small intimate team working on this that are so devoted to it, not for the money that it could bring or any of that, like just being able to create and design this world is it's really really awesome, and it's a world that I'm excited to jump into one day. But I as far as questions, I mean, I could go on and on, right? Like, but ultimately, this episode is all about you and what you want to put out there regarding your game, and so I don't want to keep leading you in directions. I just want you to kind of have the floor and be able to talk about, the thing that you're passionate about and kind of lead where you want to go here. And I know we're running close to the time we'd said that we would keep you, so I'm going to kind of leave that up to you where you want to go here in the little final bit.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I share the same sentiments. Yeah, working with you guys, sharing the excitement and the progress and stuff. Um, yeah, this is the first time, won't be the last. We'll be ready to share more with you guys, and I think once we're real, our next stage, like for reveals, will be like a full, like long gameplay demo that,
Sick.
like video, gameplay video. So we probably, we're gonna aim for like 10 minutes, go through a level, outline all the, the little things we've talked about. We'll probably do one like with commentary and without. So like probably have like one of us talking, explaining, how the game works, this and that, and certain things as you see them, and then the other version where you can just watch, and just see the gameplay play out. So yeah, that's our next thing. We'll keep you in the loop for that one, and we'll be ready to talk more and about all that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what else to talk about. We're super excited. We're super passionate. We have some really great inspirations here. We've created some really great original stuff by really thinking about why we were inspired by these things. What emotions we felt, what feelings. Because I think about the first time I did a shoot dodge in Max Payne 1 when it first came out. And I try not to think of like what I was doing, but like how did I feel? Like I think back to how I felt because that's what I truly remember. Where I was like, "Holy shit, this is so cool!" Where you're like, it felt like something different, and you know, that's what we want to aim for when it comes to these unique gameplay scenarios that we're gonna put you in. We really want you to be like, wow, that felt like something different, unique, and I'll remember it. We want to evoke a feeling out of you, right? That's the main thing. So like we're not, the game is not going to be difficult. And yeah, we're going to have hard mode and stuff like that, but it's going to be, think of like difficulty modes in like Half-Life 2 and stuff like that, right? Like it's not like intense and it's going to make it totally different and you got fewer drops or this and that. It's we'll do we'll make some adjustments and make it worthwhile, but difficulty is not the focus. It's the emotions, the feelings we want to evoke out of you, whether it's the relationships with Buddy, the gameplay scenarios you get in, the antagonist who I haven't talked about. So Chemical is the antagonist of the game, and Chemical and Cindy, they've known each other for quite a bit. So they've been in some of the other cities too that are also left on Earth. They're both in Hazard City now. This is where everything's going to come to a boiling point. And yeah, like we just love what we're doing with all of that. Um, how we're creating it, why we're creating it, the feelings we get from it, how you're going to feel fighting against Chemical, learning about the history. So, like, that's going to be the big thing. Um, yeah, I guess I'm going to get into spoiler stuff now. So, I'm going to try to avoid because I'm thinking about other things. Like, yeah, and we're going to do this and this. But again, there are going to be these unique things, and that's really our drive to evoke those feelings and emotions from you, whether it's like, oh my God, I've never done this in a first person shooter before, or, your feelings for Buddy or whatever, like I was talking about, like that's our drive, right? And just with the city itself, the setting, just the mood, atmosphere, feelings, emotions you get from just that, it's all that, right? And that's really what fueled us, right? When we're arting these things and stuff, we didn't want to be like, well, what does it exactly look like? Let's make it look exactly like, Cyberpunk 2070. Let's make it look like Night City. Let's make it look exactly like City 17, right? Like that's not what we did. It was always about, how did those cities make us feel? What environment made us feel that way? You know, so we want to make sure we include them because those are the ones that really resonated with us. And of course, it's different for everyone. So this is coming from our own gameplay experiences and stuff. We do some testing here and there, not much. We have like one tester just internally right now, just because everything is so um, in flux day to day. We're not at the stage where it's full builds with play tests yet. Um, but we we can't guarantee everyone's going to feel the same way. But you know that's that's our aim. To evoke emotion and feeling versus like I defeated a difficult boss and it was so tough. Um, more so like, whoa, that was really fun. Like that boss fight was fun. It kept me going, and it had a certain pattern I had to learn to defeat it.
Yeah.
And that's bosses are not always well done in first person shooters, so that's something that like we're just prototyping our first boss, and that's like again like a very important thing we want to get right, where we don't want to be. It's like just shoot the one spot or shoot it till it dies, which is fine. I'm not saying that's wrong.
Yeah.
But again, we want to evoke emotion and feeling in a fight. So that's why we want to have like certain game plan elements that will make you feel a certain way when you're actually playing it. Whether it's like I said, it's just fun. Like I want the boss battle to make you feel empowered, right? And I feel a I feel a lot of games, they make you feel empowered and then they take it away really quick.
Oh yeah.
Um, we want to give that to you for a good amount of time. Like we want a whole boss fight where like yeah, you may have the advantage and it's gonna feel great because we want you to feel great, right? Like that's our main thing. Like pacing, the emotions and feelings you get while playing it, like that's the biggest thing, right? So if we're evoking something out of you regularly, where you're like amazed, frightened, really, you know, befuddled and amazed at a cool mechanic or something like that. It keeps your attention, it keeps you going, and that's kind of our main drive, both with like how we want players to feel when they're playing the game, but then also, like I said, when we're making the content, making the art, the levels, the gameplay scenario, whatever, how that weapon feels. We think back, like, how did that weapon in that game make me feel? What was it about it that made me feel that way, right? Instead of being like, let's just look at it, make it look like
Yeah.
that, right? Because a lot can be lost in translation, and then at that point, it's just you're just not copying, but it's you're losing a little bit in translation by not thinking about those things.
Yeah.
So that's a very important design philosophy we've had, like as a group. We've always talked about like with everything. It's like whether like with Odyssey making a trailer, Jaw was making an animation, whatever it is. Think back, to those games where you're like, I use this type of weapon and I really liked it in this game. How did it make me feel? Why did I really like using it? um, and more so starting from that instead of being like, what gun? That gun from that game, and then we
Yeah.
just kind of look it up, right? Instead, more so just like almost like internal, where it's like it's not like we all got to talk about our favorite shotgun and all of our feelings about it. It's more so like when you're animating that thing, think about that stuff, right? Because it's super super important because then
Right.
that drives everything you're gonna do. And if you're just on autopilot and just to get it done, right, then that's seen in the process, right? So that's why we always talk about feel, remember, what trailer did you watch, that made you feel a certain way, why, the timing, whatever, the cuts, whatever it was, you know make that influence you, when you're making it, and whatever it is, whether it's a trailer, or, an animation, a level, whatever it might be. It's all about, think back to, a game that made you feel that way, that did it really well, and that you've never forgotten.
Yeah.
And again, if I think back to that shoot dodge where I'm like, the first shoot dodge, whoa, just felt like something totally different. And again, we've been shoot dodging for decades now.
Yep.
But like, so if I play Max Payne right now and shoot dodge, like, it doesn't feel the same. But if I just sit here and I think about it, right? I'm like, oh, I can feel that feeling again. When I did that shoot dodge for the first time, right? And then it's like, let that inspire you, right? Don't play Max Payne and let that inspire you. Like, sit back and think about like when you felt that,
Oh
and
yeah.
let that inspire you, right? So that's a big design philosophy for us with everything we do. So yeah,
Well,
That's awesome, man.
that'll show in the game when it's out. I mean, that type
exactly.
of thing will show in the game, and the love that you're obviously listening to you talk about this has been awesome. Like, hearing you be this happy and excited for Chemical Burn makes me happy and excited for Chemical Burn, and I cannot wait. Um, Everybody, please, 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 please go to the Chemical Burn Steam page. Go to the YouTube, check out the trailer. It's also on their Steam page, but go to that YouTube, follow them on YouTube, wishlist them on Steam, like the trailer, like the page, follow the page, join the Discord for Chemical Burn. All of that will be down below in the episode description, so you can find every bit of information there on Chemical Burn. We will non-stop share this on Twitter and in the Discord and everywhere we can. So make sure you guys are checking all that out. This is a project that we are 100% behind. We are ready for it. We want it. So let's go. Let's get this. I'm very excited for more Chemical Burn. Thank you so much for hopping on the show today. Um, Thank you. Truly appreciate it.
Yeah, same. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and like we said, it's been a big, big, huge milestone for us. You guys have been a big part of motivating us, and yeah, it's hard to say thanks for something like that. It's a special thing. So thank you so much.
Start of a great
Yeah.
friendship.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back on. I mean, when you guys are ready to put more information out or whatever, like if you just want to do an update at some point, let us know. We'll be more than happy to have you back on and
Yeah,
talk more Chemical Burn.
Absolutely, sounds good to me.
fantastic. Everybody, again, please check them out. Twitter, uh, everything's going to be in the description of the episode. Go to there. Just click the links. Do that. Check out the sponsor of the show, Final Boss Longy. Join the Discord. It's free. Have a great time. Until next week, guys. Take it easy. Be safe and check Chemical Burn out. Take it easy, guys.